Hi, this is Charlie Mato-Toyela with another video on making and playing Native American flutes. This video is per the request of several of our followers on YouTube, and I wanted to give everyone the opportunity to make a Native American flute in a way that you might, see that you have tools to do so. So what we're going to be focusing on is making a Native American flute out of a piece of regular old bamboo. Bamboo is typically not indigenous to this country, although there's lots of it all over the country because it's a very invasive species. It's a very neat plant and very unique plant. Grows very hollow. Everywhere you see one of these nodes here, these links, there's a solid chamber. So we'll be working with that and talking about that in just a moment. But like I say, this video is to help you make a flute out of something you probably have close by or that you may be able to find at a local hobby or craft store. Sometimes in the hobby and craft stores there's a species that they carry there for decoration, what have you, and a lot of times they're cracked. So if you can't find one that's not cracked, you may have to learn how to use one that is cracked. But in either case, like I say, this stuff's growing everywhere, so you should be able to find it. Like I said, this is not an original species to this country. It's a little different. You'll notice one of the major differences is this flat side. All bamboo does not have a flat side. There's so many of them that don't. But typically the stuff you see here in the US is one of these types, and the links are very close together. I have a species of bamboo that is a little different than this. It's perfectly round but looks just like it, and the links are far apart. But like I say, that's all here nor there. We want to make a flute out of this, so this is where we're going to start. Okay, I guess we'll start off by blowing some of the sawdust off of here. Get lots of mess sometimes. Make a lot of flutes. Anyways, what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose a piece of bamboo here that fits my needs. I like to have a mouthpiece about 5 inches long, so we're going to use a hacksaw. And hey, look, there's a crack right there. This is an older piece of bamboo, so we're going to go ahead and cut it right below that crack so that it doesn't progress or go any further. And if you'll watch what I'm doing, I'm not actually wanting to cut all the way through it yet. That's because cutting all the way through a piece of bamboo gives a lot of scar tissue, and you do want to keep it kind of straight as you go around in circles. Whoops. Brand new hacksaw blade. Any of you out there that use hacksaws know what I'm talking about. Brand new blades cut real nice, but man, are they rough. So there we go. Not too bad. And let's see if I can just snap it off here. Looks like I'm going to have to cut a little bit deeper. The good thing about cutting it, kind of scoring it before you cut it, is it doesn't leave too much tissue. Now, here's a little nib there. Don't be afraid of these things, man. So easy to take care of. You just kind of clip it and grab it. How about that? We'll sand the rest of this off, but the thing you want to avoid is not cutting it around in circles and trying to either snap it or even just cutting it from that point. And then what tends to happen is a piece of it will turn loose and start to crack, and you'll have a giant splinter going down the side. There's lots of ways to do this. A lot of you probably figured it out already, and I'm wasting my time and your time telling you. But anyway, the next thing we're going to do, set this little guy aside, we have a use for him, is we're going to use my favorite old Cherokee flute pattern to make this flute. There's a lot of things, like I say, to consider. That's why this video is in several segments, and I want to make sure that you get everything that you need to learn how to do this. So you have this flat section on this bamboo I talked about. Here's another flat section down here. They usually are on opposite sides from each other, every other link, so you have a limb that is coming out of this side and a limb that would have come out of this side, and on this side the limb's coming out of over here on this link. So it's just the way that the plant grows. It's really unique and kind of interesting. But what I have is a piece of bamboo which has an inside diameter. This is not completely crucial, just partially. It's about 3/4 of an inch in diameter, which matches very closely the inside diameter of this guy. The outside, sometimes different species of bamboo may have a much thicker wall, which will cause it to be fatter on the outside and skinnier on the inside. So you can see that the outside of this guy is almost 1 inch. It's like 15/16 in diameter. Very similar to this other dude, although this guy here is made out of river cane. He is actually about, oh gosh, where are we? We're about 7/8 in diameter on the outside. And if I remember right, this dude's about 5/8 by, let's see, we'll just call him 5/8. So really close, nothing to worry about. But like I was saying, you want to keep in mind where your flat sections are. So we have our mouthpiece section here we're going to use. And I know that we don't want to have fingerings on this flat side. One thing I used to do is always put the flat side on the back so that the fingerings are on the front. And that's okay, but then it leaves this kind of little ridge down here. So what we're going to do is, my new way of doing this is turn it on its side. I like turning it on its side as long as it's nice and straight, because it gives you both the round edge here, round edge there, and round edge down here, and the sides are where your flat pieces are. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to go ahead and mark this one and show you how to mark it, and then I'm going to give you the measurements of this flute so that you can kind of keep up with me here. But let's see, just to grab a little pencil here. If you noticed, I lined my links up right there so that the links are even with one another. The reason I'm doing this is inside of the bamboo there is a wall there like we talked. The wall usually extends no more than, say, a 1/16 on either side of those nodes, depending on the species. There are one or two that I've worked with that even if you go a 1/16 of an inch on the side, there's still a link there, so it just depends. But you kind of get the feel for it. If there's any doubt, you can push a piece of dowel up inside of there and measure it, and then you can use that measurement to determine how deep this is. So just kind of like a feeler gauge. But what we're going to do right now is just kind of mark this guy. I'm going to mark the holes here where I want them. It's like my pencil's not showing up too good. That's why I usually use a marker. And then down here, I'm going to mark the relative distance of the end of the flute, but not count on it being that long or short. I'm going to give myself about 1 inch longer than where the actual sound tuning hole is on this flute. This old Cherokee flute is about an A. It's really a B flat at 432 Hertz, or really close to it anyway. So I've got my fingerings there. You might not see them too well, but I can still see them good on this side. And we'll cut that off in just a second. But in the meantime, as promised, I'll give you some measurements here. I am measuring from the center of this hole, not from the edge of the node or link inside of the river cane. So from the center of the hole, the first measurement is 4 1/8 inches to this first hole. The next one is 4 7/8 to the next hole. And there's a nice little gap. Then it's 6 5/8 of an inch. The next one's 7 5/8 of an inch. And then the last one here, the last of the 5 fingerings, is 8 5/8. So 4 1/8, 4 1/8, 4 7/8, then 6 5/8, 7 5/8, and 8 5/8. And for all of my friends out there in countries that use a metric system, I promise I'm going to be buying a metric ruler soon. So anyway, the last measurement here you want to take, I usually like to cut it off at about 13 inches. And we're probably going to drill our hole here, or cut the flute off eventually, or sand it, or however we shorten it to tune it. We're going to cut it off eventually about 11.5, but we'll worry about that later. We like to keep that little extra just in case. The inside of the flute may be a little larger, a little smaller, which causes the tone to be off just a little here or there, so we'll kind of work with it. But anyway, there you have that. I'm going to put this flute out of the way. And next we're going to cut this next line, hopefully with a little more finesse than we did on the first one. So just kind of going around in circles, not cutting all the way into it. This is a reasonably dry piece of bamboo. And once again, I'm not trying to cut all the way through it. I'm trying to score it such that it doesn't tear off and leave any major cracks or breaks. Splinters not a problem. Cracks and breaks, might want to get some super glue. See, I think that goes off by itself there. So there's the beginnings of our little flute. And since this will be a couple of different parts in this video, for the rest of the phase of it, we'll pick up from there on tomorrow. And anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have any other questions or comments, please always feel free to drop us a line. We appreciate it. You can see our website at bluebearflutes.com, and also our Facebook is Blue Bear Arts if you look us up there. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, as we'll be announcing our flute making book on the next one of the next upcoming videos, as it has is being printed, and certainly you guys will have copies of it available very shortly. So I look forward to hearing from you soon. Happy fluting.